one symptom, but sometimes in the long run, taking those medications can have other side effects, like other illnesses, or they can really have an impact on our nutritional status or makeup. And so I definitely do believe that just good foundational healthy eating habits is one of the pillars to overall you feeling better, right? Because then not only many people forget to take their medicine, and many times you can prevent illnesses by just using good nutrition. And you want to live a long, healthy life.
Sure.
Okay, so eating well will help you achieve that.
What are some of the first steps people usually take on this journey? Like, I want to get healthy, I'm not ready to deep dive. What's the first step?
So in just overall, if you're looking to prevent illnesses, I think that really looking internally as to how you live your life. It's not just always about what we eat. A lot of it is also moving and sleeping, and how we deal with stress. Because let's face it, everyone has some form of stress in their life, whether it's stress that they put onto themselves or stress from other outside factors. And so, I think when we're talking about the foods that we eat, some simple changes, even, how often do I go out to eat? Start asking ourselves those questions. Do I eat out a lot? Do I eat prepared foods, already prepared foods, even when I'm in the home? Do I go food shopping? So, even just making some simple changes in that, buying fresh foods versus, canned foods or already prepared foods that can have a lot of sodium and other food chemicals that we probably don't want to introduce to our bodies. Those are some simple things. So a simple goal, that I often give to people is one night a week. If just one night, choose a plant-based meal, because I guarantee that meal is going to have more active antioxidants and phytonutrients than most other foods. So, doing a meatless Monday, or if you're not a big food shopper, then, making a dedication to one day a week, even having it delivered to your home, so that you have fresh foods available and that you can cook in a healthy way. You want some other simple changes, making sure that taking a look at your sleep, moving more, so really asking yourself, I think, those questions. Those are some, basic, simple things that you can do.
Do you have some sleep tips? Like, I usually like to have the TV on. I like to eat a nice big meal right before bed. What do you mean improve? Look at my sleep. Can't look at my sleep. Sleep.
Right. So from a natural standpoint, I would definitely avoid eating really big meals before you go to sleep at night, because your digestion does slow down in the nighttime. So eating a large meal is not a good idea. So if you have insomnia, then you may want to, probably move your dinner a little bit earlier. If you need to have something before bed, it's okay to have, a small snack. So something actually that has a little bit of protein in it, but small, may help you go to sleep a little bit better. And also avoiding, it's okay to have a tea before bed, but you may want to do it maybe an hour before sleep so that you're not running to the bathroom. Definitely turning off the TV is a good idea. Any kind of blue light. So blue light would be like most electronics would be good if you could slow down or turn them off. That also might help you go to sleep. Getting a good book out, taking a nice bath, these are all nice things.
Does your practice usually involve these lifestyle changes as well? Like, you don't deal solely with nutrition?
Yes, I would say most of the practitioners here are talking about the whole person. So most other people here are also mentioning definitely some nutrition information, whereas I get into more depth or specifics with my patients. But we all touch on all these other aspects of health because nutrition and movement and sleep and stress, those are what I say the roots to being in a healthy body. And if the roots are affected, then it's really going to affect the person. If the person's the tree, how all the other how all the other pieces to that tree are put together. And so I would say, we really think about the whole person and all these other aspects in their life as we prepare a specific plan for them.
Do you have an issue with compliance? Like, are the people who are coming to you, like, do they have that willpower? Are they ready to go? And if they're lacking in that willpower, like, what do you think some of the best avenues are to become motivated to do these things, get out of bad habits?
So one of the great things that I like about working in functional nutrition or in a more holistic way of work is that I think we have a lot of people come to us where they've failed in another system. So if you think about like the traditional Western medicine, it's really about treating symptoms and not some of those root, what's the real, like drilling down to the real issue here. And so luckily for me, I think that a lot of people who come to see me are driven. If I were to ask you, how driven are you to make this change? Many times, if it's 0 to 10, 10 being the most, I'm a higher end of the scale for most clients. But there's always those people who come back to me, and say, I really want to do this, but, and let's face it, life happens. We can have challenges along the way. And so really finding out what are some of those challenges and why are you having some of these challenges? What's holding you back from making these changes? And so I would work, when I work with my patients on that, we really, try to work on what's hindering them from making those changes and trying to find tactics to make it a little bit easier and skills, give them the skills that they need to make, the continued progress for the long haul. Because that's when we really have success, when we can implement this for the long haul. And you asked, I guess, what were some simple ways that we can make changes? I guess, one of my recommendations would be to think about, why are you trying to make this change? What's your ultimate goal? And if you can put it down on paper, then write it down, or put it in your smartphone somewhere that you're going to see it. But really finding out, why is the reason that I want to make this change? Why is it important to me? And once you know the reason of why it's important, it's going to be a lot easier to move forward with whatever barrier it may be, whether it's not having the time or the resources or support.
So what is functional and integrative nutrition?
So functional and integrative nutrition considers the whole person, in the sense of it's not just about the disease. It's also about what are other factors with a person's environment, genetic makeup, and also how a person might be dealing with if they have other stressors and other factors that might be causing them to have certain issues with even metabolizing foods. So it's really about a whole system approach versus, approaching nutrition from this is, the disease, and then it's very black and white. This is the therapeutic nutrition protocol to put a person on. Everyone is different. And so, person A has different genetic makeup than person B. The way that they internalize, or the way that, person A may internalize stress may be different than the way person B internalizes stress. And all of that can have factors on the way nutrients are expressed in our bodies. So it's really taking, different individualized approach and applying that to each individual so that they can, make the changes that they need in the most effective way. What do you think about that answer, by the way? I don't know if that's the most simple. Maybe I could, if you want to ask me that again, I can make it more simple.
What is functional and integrative nutrition?
Okay, so that's a great question. Functional and integrative nutrition is really a whole system approach to nutrition, where we take all these foundations of, knowing someone's or taking into account a person's genetic background, also other environmental factors, taking into account, what the person may or may not be eating, their stress and how they deal with stress, and really applying an individualized approach to nutritional care. So it's not like a nutritional template. You want to prevent this disease.
That's probably going to be really.
Okay.
Can y'all turn that up a little bit?
We're making smoothies, man.
Can we have a smoothie too? Give him hell.
You're so serious. You're very funny.
Well, by the way, I just asked that question on the way here. I was like, what does she do exactly? You're answering me, so it's cool. What the functional medicine? I was like, exactly what is that?
What do you do?
What do I do? That is a really great question. What do I do? I change lives nutritionally. Huh? No, so I work with people, individuals and families, and really hopefully changing their approach to their nutrition, working with them on making the best choices for them, taking into account their lifestyle, the foods that they enjoy, what's available to them, also what their symptoms may be, because a lot of my patients have symptoms and they're sick and tired of being sick all the time, and really helping them to understand what is their best nutritional life possible, or what's their best approach to eating as possible, so that they can live their best life.
Is that important? Why do you think it's so important to eat the right foods?
Well, I definitely think for a lot of my patients who are experiencing symptoms, yes, it's very important. If you're feeling good and you want to change the way you're eating, many times it's because you want to live the longest and best quality of life. And I think really, we can say, okay, you're going to be healthy in other ways, but if nutrition isn't a part of that, then definitely I would say it's probably going to impact a person's quality of life, as they age. And let's face it, who doesn't want to age in a healthy way and feel as best as possible as the years go on? So nutrition is really one of the foundations to being a healthy person. We are what we eat. And if we feed or fuel our bodies with good food, then we're going to have good outcomes. We're going to have a reduced likelihood for getting chronic illnesses. We're not going to be getting sick as much. We're probably going to have more energy. And guess what? We're probably going to feel better about ourselves because we feel confident in how we look. We feel good about our food choices. And hopefully, if you're working with me, you're going to also feel good about the foods that you eat because they taste good. And that's really, really important. People need to learn also that healthy eating can taste good because then they're going to stick with it.
So you're saying, I kind of feel like I'm just on this roller coaster, you know, I'm in this body and a lot of it's outside of my control. Are you saying like I can take control of my health through what I'm eating?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it doesn't have to be as hard as one thinks. So, you know, a lot of people come to me and they're like, well, you know, I want to change my life. I want to start with, you know, the foods that I eat, but I really don't know how to go about it. And so when I work with my patients, I find out what are the goals that you're looking to achieve. And then from there, okay, we're going to create some goals for you that are individualized because everyone's at a different level. Some of my patients love to cook and some of my patients hate to cook. So we have to find, you know, a happy medium with what's going to work with your lifestyle. But absolutely, it is in your control. And if you know how to choose your food, if you know how to prepare your food in a healthy way, then absolutely you have, you know, control over what goes into your body.
Magic wand.
Magic wand. I need to get a magic wand, actually. So when people tell me, but Marissa, I can't do it, I can just wave it over. Of course you can. I just gave you the magic that you need. Just trying to think what else. Do you think?
So, yeah, I mean, it's totally up to you if you want to keep going.
No, yeah, just keep going because I have no idea what I said.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to be cutting all
Yeah.
this up and it might
be
end up being a minute and a half video and you're like, what did I say that? You know,
Okay.
I'll cut up. But I'll probably release like a long form version and a short form version. But we weren't in the middle of recording.
You need to restart anyways if you're going to continue.
Maybe we can just. Oh. See? Magic wand.
There you go.
Hey, y'all, the Kiss Double Live album?
We could probably just turn that off if it happens again so they can enjoy their music.
See, you said you are what you eat. Like I've heard people say that. What does that mean? Is that true? You are what you eat.
So if you eat Doritos and on that label, on the label it has monosodium glutamate and sugar. Believe it or not, sugar is on the list of ingredients in Doritos, and food colorings. Or if I have another label and the ingredients are fresh greens, turmeric, Himalayan salt. What do you think are the better ingredients there for your cells to live off of?
The words that I comprehend.
Yes, probably the things that you recognize, the words exactly that you comprehend. So we are what we eat. If we're filling our bodies with CRAP, then we're probably going to get that, you know, out of our bodies. It's like, you know, I use the analogy of a car, and if you're not putting good gas in the tank, then it's going to putt along the street. And the same kind of idea with our bodies, but probably depending on what you eat, a much different degree. But yeah, you're gonna have, you put bad fuel in, you're probably gonna have a not so great outcome.
And what's amazing about that is if you put bad fuel in a car, it's amazing how resilient the body is and how quickly the body will heal itself and how much crap the body will take before you really got to be beating up on yourself, you know. But you put a little bit of bad fuel in a car, it's immediately apparent. This doesn't necessarily become immediately apparent. Right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So the body is really resilient, and the thing is, I think a lot of people will say, "Well, I've been doing this for so long, and I feel okay," or I've learned to deal with these symptoms, and at this point, this is just the way my life is going to be, or they just learn to deal. My doctor told me I'm on this medication for life. And I really do believe that it doesn't have to be that way. We can change our lives, and we have it within ourselves to make those changes. And so, even making some simple changes along the way, tweaking a little bit in your diet if you're not ready to make huge adjustments, tweaking a little bit in how you deal with stress can make huge impacts. And you're right, Travis, that when you do start to add back in the great fuel, you're going to have, your body is able to come back to life. And your body does heal itself. It wants to heal itself, and it's ready. You just have to be able to, give it the good stuff, give it what it needs.
You always been into health and wellness?
So actually, I began my journey when I was fairly young in healthy eating, because I was overweight when I was in my tweens. And so one day, I used to get bullied at school, and I felt really bad about myself. Even my sister was the one making fun of me, and I started to get a really low self-esteem. And one day I woke up and said, I don't want to be like this anymore. And my mom took me to go see a nutritionist. And at that point, I wasn't really ready, because I didn't even know how I could begin making those changes. And I remember she said, she'll lose the weight when she's ready. And it was amazing, because that one day that I woke up and I said, I don't want to feel like that anymore, I started to really reflect on my life. And one of the things I knew I could do differently was take charge of my eating habits, and made some changes, and started exercising more, and the rest is history. And then, eventually when I decided, what am I going to do for a living? I said, I really like nutrition, and I need to know more about it, and I need to know how it affects our bodies and how I can make people healthy.
And that makes me think about, I don't know if this is right, makes me think of that movie Spanglish with that little girl, and when that person said that she'll lose the weight when she's ready or whatever. I don't know if that was supposed to be a positive message. You know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that movie?
Mm-hmm. I have.
That little girl, she's got her little skinny jeans, and and how that made that little girl feel, So you don't necessarily have to be a toothpick to feel good about yourself, but you need to be healthy, right?
Absolutely. It's all about feeling good in the body that you're in. And, it's not always about being a toothpick. Absolutely not. I have so many patients that come to see me for weight loss. And when we work together, it's really it's never just about the food. It's also about, what am I doing in my life to feel good about myself? And, we work a lot with self-love and, developing a more positive body image, because when you feel good about about yourself and what you're doing for yourself, you're going to be much more likely to take that on for the remainder of the time that you have on this planet. So absolutely, I think that really working with people on their behaviors and getting them to feel good about their choices is really key in getting it to stick.
Where did you first dip your toes into functional nutrition?
So I used to work in oncology many years back, and people who would come to our center, they had tried many different diets, and I don't like to use the word diet, but they would go on the vegan diet or the ketogenic diet or this diet and that diet, and they've also done so many different types of medicines and different medical protocols. And so I think my interest started really, I could see so many different changes in my patients by using other we'll just say like treatments that weren't standardized in the medical field. And I said, you know what? A lot of people are seeing some great outcomes. What's going on here? And as I started to work more and more with other like-minded physicians and other practitioners, I thought, okay, I really want to work on finding out, what's the root cause of what's going on with my patients, and delving deeper, because again, it's not always just about their disease or the food that we eat. Sometimes it's also about our genetic makeup or the other environmental factors, and so it's just fascinating when you see that the one connection, like the hip bone, is definitely connected to the elbow, and getting people to realize that one thing might be related to another, and putting it all together, and the changes that we see are tremendous, and we really are getting people to feel that they're living their best life, and that's huge.
That's a wrap.
Okay, thanks.
What I was thinking,
I'm sorry guys. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Are you willing to work with vegans, paleo? Like, do you have any restrictions?
That is a great question. I do work with all different types of patients. So one of my specialties is working with vegans and vegetarians alike, or teaching people how to go more plant-based. But not all of my patients are necessarily plant-based. I definitely, here at our center, we have a brain health program, and it's really important for many people that we touch on certain concepts. And for many, that includes following more of a ketogenic style of living. And so I work with all different eaters. We won't put any labels on it.
And keto vegans?
Yeah, that's definitely something, keto vegans. So really, when I work with you, it's also about your beliefs and values surrounding food. And so some people come into the office and they say, I want to go more plant-based, but I still want to include the red meat, or I still want to include fish. So I work with you surrounding your beliefs with that approach that you want to take.
Do you have any final words?
Not right now, but next time you come back I will, because I will practice it.